Hello. So I'm Annette, and I work with Academic Technology Support Services, and we are in the midst of transitioning courses from Moodle to Canvas. David Schmidt's going to talk later about kind of a deeper dive into Canvas, but what I'm here to talk to you about is kind of to provide a mental map for how Canvas works and how it's organized, and to kind of give you some lessons learned from what we're seeing from our transitions that are going on now. Oh yeah, we're moving to Canvas. So the first point I want to make is that Canvas has a different organizational structure. And what do I mean by that? All LMSs, you probably have heard this a million times, all LMSs do similar things. They all function somewhat the same, but there is a different organizational structure here, and some people are missing that with our transitions, and so I want to mention it now. Some of your courses are going to do, how many of you have actually been into a Canvas course? Awesome. Okay, so some of your courses are going to be displayed on a Canvas dashboard. This is customizable. Just know that all of your courses aren't here. You can decide what's here and what's not here. Second of all, Canvas makes you make some decisions right away so even if you have a course shell that has a bunch of content in it, you're going to get this message that says, create a new module or add existing content. So right away, it's a little bit different than Moodle in that you have to make a decision to do something with your content, even if you've transitioned it in. You need to take an extra step. Another item, and this is a big one, is that Canvas uses this idea of modules to organize pages, files, and activities. You can't probably see this long list of the navigation menu here, but it's got a bunch of stuff on it. And basically your content's going to go into buckets. You're going to have pages, you're going to have files, you're going to have assignments, activities, and then you can decide to create a module where you sequence all these things. So it's different. All of your content lives in these buckets. You decide through your use of modules how you want to sequence it. So it doesn't just live here, it lives here. So that's an important concept to think of, is where your content is living in Moodle. The second thing to mention is that content is going to transfer into Canvas differently. So this looks familiar. These are the different items that you see in a Moodle site, and it's going to look different when you start moving things into Canvas. Some people, even based on what they have to move, they might decide to just create from scratch in the Canvas site. Some things are going to transfer fine. Files, pages, URLs, very straightforward. They're going to go from Moodle into Canvas pretty straightforwardly. Again, you're going to have to find them when you get into Canvas because you're going to get that blank screen, but they're there. Some things are going to transfer with work. I'm not expecting you to remember all of these things, and in the slide deck, which I'm sure you'll get access to, there's more information at the bottom about what troubles people are having with these. But these things are things that will transfer, but just put in the back of your head, if you use any of these things, it's going to take some work to make sure that they're working in Canvas. And here's, Renee was mentioning the workshop, it's right there. Some things are going to require some rebuilding or using a new or different Canvas tool. So if you've got things on this list, put it in the back of your head and know that it might be something that you're going to have to be more careful of and check once you're working in the Canvas environment. Some things don't transfer at all, so we're looking at kind of those functional gaps and trying to figure out how to fill those with a different tool. So before and after you move, some of the biggest tips we've got from people right now going through this, before you move, if you can, clean up your Moodle site, clean up your files, get rid of your old stuff. You might have had a Moodle site for 10 years. Get rid of the old stuff, the files, the assignments, all this. It's going to make the transition much easier. After you move, the most important thing is to check your settings for all of your graded things. That means assignments, quizzes, gradebook. Check those things manually, piece by piece, and then go back and make sure that all your content is working, because the settings, these things might transfer over, but the settings might get a little bit adjusted in the process. Do any of you use question banks? So if you use question banks and you've got categories in your question banks, there's something that you're going to want to do ahead of time, and it's called flattening your question bank. I wasn't going to show this unless people actually were using question banks. In Moodle, it looks like this with categories and subcategories. Just keep this in the back of your head. Once you move to Canvas, you're going to want to flatten this because it handles categories and banks a little bit differently. So this is what we're aiming for, even if we're here now. But just as a matter of fact, most people are finding that the transition is going okay, and that Canvas is just fine.